Your Honor, members of the jury, Whit Bowman opened the door. She opened the door to a skimming scheme, and she opened the door to a robbery. And when that door slammed closed, a man named Winston Thomas was fighting for his life in a coma. Our story begins when the defendant and a friend named Cameron Poole, both employees at Rockter World Amusement Park, decided that they weren't getting their fair share of park profits. So they came up with a plan. Rockter World Amusement Park offers two types of admission tickets: regular tickets and world tour tickets for $15 more. The schemers realized that they could charge a customer who paid in cash the full price of a Rockter World special admission ticket, but ring the ticket in as a regular admission ticket and keep the $15 difference for themselves. Now, in order to keep anyone from noticing what they were doing, they bought and handed out fake World Tour bracelets, threw away the regular bracelets, and pocketed the money. Now, over the course of the summer, this scam raked in tens of thousands of dollars until management caught on. When the park owner sent Cameron Poole, the ticket taker, home one day, the defendant realized the gig was up. But she had a problem. The box of fake World bracelets the pair had been using was still in the park, and it had the defendant's fingerprints all over it. So the defendant weaseled her way into working the Tunnel of Terror ride. The Tunnel of Terror ride has the only door, other than the main entrance, into the park through the 15-foot fence that surrounds the park. That way, Poole could sneak back into the park through that door and hide the box of fake bracelets. But the schemers came up with one more plan. They could catch one last cut of park profits if Cameron Poole robbed the ticket booth on the way out of the park. Poole grabbed the cash and he ran for the Tunnel of Terror ride, but Officer Winston Thomas gave chase. Poole ran with the money in a box through the Tunnel of Terror ride and out the emergency exit door. The defendant then killed the lights in order to hide Poole's escape route. In the sudden blackout, Officer Winston Thomas could not see, and he ran into the tracks of the ride. The ride hit him, throwing him into a brick wall and knocking him into a coma. Officer Winston Thomas is still in that coma today. Today, the state brings two charges against the defendant. Charge number one is first-degree robbery. Now, in order to be guilty of first-degree robbery, the defendant does not need to have committed the robbery herself. She needs to only have attempted to aid in a robbery in which someone sustained a grave physical injury. The defendant did this when, in order to give Cameron Poole an escape route, she killed the lights on the Tunnel of Terror, and Winston Thomas was injured. The second charge the state brings against the defendant is theft by deception. Being guilty by theft by deception simply means that the defendant helped to steal more than $500 by creating a false impression. Now, as the state, we hold the burden of proof in today's case. We will prove that the defendant is guilty of both of these charges beyond a reasonable doubt. And to do this, we will call three witnesses. First, you will hear from former park employee Billy Isaacs, who will share that the defendant knew how to operate the lights on the Tunnel of Terror ride, and that she took over the Tunnel of the Terror ride very intentionally on the day of the robbery. Next, you'll hear from Tyler Hartman, a season pass holder at Rockter World, and an eyewitness to the robbery. Now, Hartman will share with us that the defendant helped plan the robbery at Rockter World. And he will also share that the defendant took over the Tunnel of Terror ride in order to give Cameron Poole an escape route. Finally, investigator Francis Kimball will take the stand, and he will provide physical evidence linking the defendant to both the skimming scheme and the robbery. Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, at the end of today's case, you will see that the state of Midlands has met our burden. The defendant opened the door to a skimming scheme, and she opened the door to a robbery. Officer Winston Thomas is still in a coma today because the defendant opened those doors. Thank you.